First and foremost, I want to thank the Normansville Neighborhood Association for putting a flyer out and having a meeting tomorrow. But, as an elected official, as a county executive, I live on the other side of the training academy here. And I had no clue this was going on until a fence went up. No one out here in this neighborhood had any idea that this project, the New York State Corrections, was being built until the fence went up. That's not being a good neighbor. And the other disturbing thing is, as we looked into it in my office, in 2013, they got the funding for this project, in 2013. So that means they had to do the statistics and studies probably 2010. So probably around 2010, they knew they were going to add on. So instead of informing the neighbors, being a good neighbor, they decided they were just going to do this and not tell anyone. So for 6 years, they knew they had the funding. And until the fence went up on the property, no one had any idea this project was going on, to my knowledge. We stand here united because, as Governor Cuomo, and I commend him, talks about closing correction facilities in upstate New York and around the state because, with raise the age, no bail bonds, if that goes through, our recidivism is going to drop in our jails. So how do we stand here and do a $40 million project? And I got to tell you, I'm an advocate for our correctional officers. I want them to have the best training, the best housing, the best equipment to be trained with. But that's not why we're here. We're just here because this is our neighborhood. This is about a quality of life issue. This is about holy names for years have been using the fields, come over and practice, have games. People in the neighborhood would come up to the park, walk their dogs, play golf, hit some balls, throw the football around, fly some kites. It was part of the fabric of our community out here. It's one of the reasons why I brought a house out here. You're in the city, but you're kind of not in the city. And as I know, listen, we're all about economic development. We're all about opportunities. But when you drive into the city, there's not too many places really left that have all this green space. So they really should have contacted the neighbors and talked to them and see what's this impact have on. We have water problems out here. We have sewer problems out here. Is this going to add to our problems? And, again, I commend the Neighborhood Association for putting a meeting together on fast notice. And some of the alarming things, I think about, is the fact that they've known for 6 years and yet nobody picked up the phone to have a public meeting. How do you conduct business like this? We can't do that in the county. A business owner can't just develop a $40 million project without any approvals, without talking to the people on a traffic study, on the impact of the neighborhoods, on the impact of the waterway, on the impact of the infrastructure. But I guess state corrections can. I guess that commissioner doesn't have to answer to anybody. And that's what the disturbing thing here is about this whole thing. And I've been told, well, it's too late to build it. No, it's not. If we're closing jails and we're right-sizing it for New York, right-size this project. We got a $2.9 billion deficit in the state budget. So cut this $40 million project down to 20, or move it to the Harriman campus, or right down the road, the old Blue Cross Blue Shield building that's been sitting vacant for 30 years is a beautiful piece of property they could have developed on.
Ever since the fencing appeared, along the perimeter of the correctional academy out here, we've been struggling to understand what's been going on, trying to get answers, and lo and behold, we find out that in 2013, this project was conceptualized, was approved. Massive $40 million project going on here has been approved with almost zero public input. What they're building is essentially one of the largest hotels in the city of Albany. Over 200 beds, directly in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And I wanted to kind of reemphasize something that the county executive had said. We all want the best training. We all want the best resources. We all want everything we can bring to bear, all of the resources, for the men and women that protect us in our jails, in our residential treatment facilities, mental health facilities. But I don't think we embarked along this project in the best way with respect for the neighbors. This project received funding in 2013 and was put out to bid in 2018. Now, this is a press conference, and usually you ask us questions, but I have a lot of questions as well. Why weren't we made aware of this? For what they're constructing, which is essentially the largest hotel or one of the largest housing projects in the city of Albany, but they didn't let the neighbors know. The Department of Corrections and their administration claims a state environmental and quality review was done for this project. Where is it? Where is the document with their findings? And again, why weren't the neighbors notified? The Departments of Corrections and their administration says that the project is necessary because the academy as is insufficient. They also say that the training demands and recruit classes have increased significantly. We are rightfully closing prisons across the state of New York. If we're closing prisons down, why do we need more corrections officers, and do we need more corrections officers, and where is the data that backs up those claims? Over behind the fire department here is the Mater Christi Playground and Pool. It's the only one of its kind for kids in this neighborhood and families in this neighborhood. It's a precious resource for families here, and this project severely degrades our access to it. What was once a green space and a quiet refuge is now gone. In closing, the administration at Docks and others will tell you it's their land and they can do what they want with it. And they have that right, and they're right. Well, just because they have the right doesn't make them right.
I'd like to thank the county executive for bringing this to the forefront today. I just have a brief statement. The county executive pretty much has summed up the concerns of everything of our neighborhood, but this is an outrage. The state of New York would make such a dramatic change to our neighborhood. This construction will change the beautiful landscape. That beautiful corner lot where everyone plays is now all fenced in, and they already started construction on it. This was all done without any input from our neighborhood, any input from the neighbors. And I'm calling on the state to stop construction right now until they have that meeting, sit down with the neighbors, get their concerns of what this project is going to do and how it's changing the character of the neighborhood. As the county executive said, this is almost like a rural part of anywhere in Albany County. You don't really think you're in the city of Albany when you drive out here. This is all going to change, and it's changing for the worse. So the state of New York should stop the project as it is right now, listen to the neighbors to make it more of a friendlier design for the neighborhood, to fit into the neighborhood. Because if this was done anyplace else in the city, it would have went through all the different processes to make sure that I remember when we were doing the Stewarts on Russell Road, that they had to make sure that that building looked like the rest of the neighborhood before it would go forward. And they got that from listening to the neighbors. This project has got zero input from the neighbors.
I just want to set the record straight. There's some rumors that we knew about this project years and years ago. That's not true. I found out about this project, I believe, January 24th, when I received an email from the state, or was it from Andrew, about this project. So people are saying, oh, from Stu, I'm sorry, from Stu got this. So I just want to make it clear that when I saw the fence come up, that's when the residents in the city of Albany became very concerned about this project. So, but I am concerned about our playground. This is a very useful playground that people throughout the city do use, so I'm very concerned that that's going to affect the residents in this area for our playground. So thank you.
I just have one word: transparency. I'm so tired of hearing about it. Transparency. We need to let the people know. And anything I can do to help that, I will. I'm just tired of it. This is green space. This is our neighborhood. And that's all I really have to say.
Again, I stand behind our COs. We want them to have the best facility. We want them to have the best training, the best arsenal and the tools to help them do their job. With this project here, they could have looked at Harriman Campus. We've been trying to fill that. They could have married this in with the State Police Academy. That has more than adequate enough space for them to relocate to the Harriman campus, and this could have been used for some other type of property. Again, it's about quality of life issues for me. It's one of the reasons why I moved out here, and to find out this is how they act. The state is not being a good partner. DOC is not being a good partner on this, and they should be held accountable.
They have increased the number of beds to over 300. Which means that they will all be coming out onto New Scotland Avenue at one time, since they come in on Monday and they leave on Friday. So there's been a big concern with that. We want to know what they're going to do about that. We're going to ask them questions about the water. I just heard from a neighbor that there's a dump back there. I'd also ask them when that environmental impact study that no one has been able to see happened, because they've increased the bed since that environmental impact statement was made, and I think that's going to have a huge effect on our water and sewer out here.